Hey, nerdy sports fan here. And since we're in the traditional lull period of time for the football offseason where really nothing is going on, we're going to get into more traditional lull content. That's right. So, everybody says the NFL draft cannot be really given a solid grade until 3 to 4 years later when you know what all these players are. So that's what we're doing. In the coming weeks, we're going team by team and redrafting the 2017 draft. Well, not redrafting so much as just grading and talking trash about what these teams did 3 years ago. So, 2017, everybody talked a bunch of trash about the quarterback class, and they ended up producing phenomenal talent. Little upset about that myself, because as a Bills fan, my team traded away the pick that got Kansas City Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, never gonna forget that. So, we're starting things off with my hometown Buffalo Bills. So, in 2017, as I obviously already mentioned, the Bills held the number 10 pick. They traded down to accumulate some more picks, and they didn't really like the quarterbacks that were available that year, preferring instead to go into the next year needing a quarterback when 5 first-round quarterbacks went out. So everybody was really big on the 2018 draft class quarterbacks. So you can't really blame them so much. Not a lot of people were big on the 2018 draft class, but Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were both available at number 10. The Bills desperately needed a quarterback, and they traded down and got themselves at the number 27 pick, Tre'Davious White. So I can't complain too much. I mean, they got themselves one of, if not the best defensive backs in the entire league. 3 years later, the guy's Pro Bowler, All-Pro, got some votes for Defensive Player of the Year, got asked out because, Stephon Gilmore in the same division, used to play for the Bills also, did very well. But either way, Tre'Davious White is a stellar talent. And I cannot complain about the pick at that position. The only complaint I have about the first round is the fact that they traded away from the pick that got Kansas City Patrick Mahomes. Moving on into the second round, their first pick in the second round, number 37, was Zay Jones. Zay Jones is no longer on the team. He had some weird off-season stuff where he's like naked jumping out of a hotel window or something like that. Really bizarre. Pretty obvious either... No, he was tripping on something. He was doing some sort of crazy drug, I'm sure. Because nobody reacts to normal life situations like that unless you have severe night terrors. And that's a very easy thing to come out and say, hey, I have severe night terrors. I've known people that have severe night terrors. It's a very crazy situation. I've known people that jumped out of windows because of said night terrors. So that is explainable. That wasn't the answer. There was never an answer given. So yeah, the guy was on some sort of drugs. So obviously, the Bills, being a locker room centric sort of team, got rid of the guy. He's still playing in the league, but he's playing for the Raiders. So not really going to get too many points for that. Later in the second round, though, they selected Deion Dawkins. Second round, number 63, you end up getting your starting left tackle, who's been there since essentially draft day. So is he one of the best left tackles in the league? No, and not at all. He's not one of the worst either, though. You got yourself a solid, average left tackle, and you got him deep in the second round of the draft. Normally, your left tackle, even the ones that just end up being solid and not spectacular, are top 15 picks. Okay? Look at, again, Kansas City. Eric Berry. God. They have a number 1 overall draft pick left tackle who is an absolute chump. It happens, okay? But either way, left tackle is typically a first-round selection, and to get yours in the second, points. Moving on, Not a single pick until the 5th round. There were plenty of trades, some from previous regimes, that made it so they didn't really have much action in the 3rd or 4th round, but 3rd and 4th round picks aren't really necessarily going to be studs on your team anyway, so giving them up isn't a huge deal. But in the 5th round, they ended up getting themselves a diamond in the rough in Matt Milano. So, pick number 163. Milano is on course to be, well, probably could have been a Pro Bowl selection already, but he's had some injuries, and let's face it, I mean, playing in Buffalo, there's a lot of people around the league voting for these things that never see games. All right, they're never on television anywhere but in Buffalo, unless the team's absolutely fantastic. Now, only now, is the team getting real primetime coverage. And if you looked at the schedule, there's not exactly a lot of guaranteed, this is definitely going to be it sort of games. There's a couple, you get your Thursday night game. Every team gets a Thursday night game. But most of the other, I want to say at least 2 of the other primetime games that are on the schedule are late enough so they can be flex scheduled out of it, just in case. So there's enough faith in the Bills to say, okay, there's potential there. They can definitely be good. Let's put them on the schedule. But there's definitely enough shakiness to say, they could still be kind of crap because Buffalo. So they're putting them in the section of the schedule where they can easily remove them from primetime, which is kind of wise. But either way, that sort of coverage makes it so Matt Milano's not a factor known around the country. But, if you don't know, Matt Milano's freaking fantastic. Okay? And to get him in the 5th round, a guy who has the talent and ability of really the perfect model linebacker right now. There are only 2 linebackers used in most defensive sets these days. You're looking at nickel and dime coverage across the league being employed to stop the pass. Because that's what you need to frickin' do. Because there are players like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes, all around the league that are knifing defenses apart in the passing game. And if those 2 linebackers on the field are not very good in coverage, you are screwed. So the new linebacker is much slimmer than the old school linebacker used to be. And Matt Milano fits that mold perfectly. So you have a stud linebacker who's really on the verge of making Pro Bowls and doing very well for himself in his career, about to go into a contract year here. In the 5th round, you have a solid left tackle in the 2nd round, and you have a stud corner in the 1st round. Everybody else in this draft class, afterthought at best. Okay, you have Nathan Peterman. Okay, his claim to fame is he is a punchline. Okay, he threw the most first half interceptions ever in football history at one point. I think it was 5 in the first half against the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken. But God, he was drafted to be a backup. He was a iffy backup because when he finally got playing time, man, he shit all over himself. Tanner Vallejo, he's not on the team anymore. These guys, 6th, 7th rounders, they get cut all the damn time. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, the Zay Jones thing's really weird. If he stayed on the team, even in the same kind of role that he is in Oakland, where he went to, I would give this a bit higher grade. If you did not trade away the pick that got Patrick Mahomes, I would give this a bit higher grade because Trey White is fantastic. Deion Dawkins and Matt Milano are solid. I'm giving it a B. Okay? B. You did good, not great. But a whole bunch of B's gives you a really good average. So the simple fact that they got themselves this stud in Trey White is fantastic. But again, passed over Pat Mahomes. I will never let that go. Ever as a Bills fan, I'm going to be grading Josh Allen against Pat Mahomes, not the rest of his draft class, for the rest of the guy's career, because we had a shot at him and we passed it up. Really, really, really freaking bothers me. But again, we did get some good talent, and this draft class is the start of the McBean era. This is when they're getting their guys. So I can't complain too much. Now, Brandon Beane was brought in immediately after this. This is when McDermott had his fingerprints all over the draft, and Beane wasn't involved really so much. They were dealing with scouting reports from previous GM. So you can say that might be the reason why they missed out on Pat Mahomes. I'm thankful that they were able to find a couple of very good defensive players and an offensive tackle. But yeah, this is the start of the Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott era, and it laid the foundation for what they had as their vision for the team. So I think they did good in that regard. But again, a B is the best you're going to get when you pass up on Pat Mahomes. All right, so like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'm doing one of these for every team in the league, so keep it tuned here. Every day there's going to be a new video. Thanks for watching.